this bottle for you, because I'm pretty sure that you will empty that sooner or later.
Perfect, exactly. How are we doing? So far, great day.
Yeah,
so far.
it's a great day.
Cheers, guys. So, no coffee here. Guys, you just had lunch. So,
I had a Coke.
Coke? That's caffeine too, so it should work.
I'm on tea-in.
On tea?
Do you say tea-in in English?
What's tea?
Tea. Nah, the same that is coffee-in, but for tea.
Oh,
Tea-in.
that's actually healthy, so congrats.
Yeah, but I asked the guys earlier to bring me a green tea, and then it was a peppermint. It's all right.
It's not really like
You
that.
have to do the job when you want to.
No, can't trust those guys.
That's all right. So how have you been doing? What is Detroit like?
Live in Detroit.
Yeah.
Live in Detroit is awesome.
Do you miss Berlin?
I do miss Berlin because my family is there.
Ah, yeah.
So,
Are they still in Berlin-Buch?
No.
No?
Berlin-Pankow.
Oh, Pankow.
All the way up there in the nice neighborhood of...
Sonderzug nach Pankow.
Exactly. Udo Lindenberg is in the house too. Yep.
He's in the house too.
No, it's awesome to travel around and meet great people like we did. Actually, when did we meet? Like a year ago?
You were part of my panel when I invited the super cool guy you wanted to meet. You actually asked me to be part of the panel because you wanted to meet the user experience guy.
That was an awesome panel.
Dale Harrickstad. Who was one of the guys. Who knows Dale Harrickstad?
Nobody?
Oh my goodness, but you know his work.
Who knows Minority Report?
Everybody please.
Exactly.
So now you know his work.
So that's the guy who really defines how the future of human-machine interaction could look like.
And on top, he's a nice guy.
He's an awesome
He just
guy.
sent me a text saying, I can't come to your presentation because I have to moderate another AR workshop. So he's really into AR, which well, obviously he's since the 90s or something.
Yeah.
And he's also a what did they say? Futuristic scientist or future whatever.
Great guy. But the reason why I was so excited to be there on that panel was Matrix was basically my inspiration for working when I was working on the Kinect, when it was back then Project Natal. So I was able to work with Alex Kidman on that device and define how users actually interacting with a vision-based camera. But I don't think that's the topic for today. So.
Well, it is, because it's leading us to your topic and why you are here, because if this inspired you to work in this field, hello, here we are. So this is a lot of background.
Couple of years later.
But that is actually leading us to start with your presentation. So welcome back after the nice lunch break. I hope you all had your coffee afterwards, or Coke, or whatever you need to wake up. Do you see some people?
Taking photos, so hey.
Hi.
Pointing out.
So we have Clemens Conrad here. As he said, he's from Berlin originally, but he's now living in Detroit because he's the CEO of Vectorform. And I'm happy to know him, and I'm also happy because that was my first time that I tried the HoloLens was at your office in Munich. So
couple months ago.
That showed me, okay, maybe AR is the way to go, but we'll see. So we talked a lot this morning about augmented reality, virtual reality, how to create it, what are the technical backgrounds, and what actually a lot said something about immersive sound. So I'm really happy that people understand that this is part of the immersion. Now, Clemens is here, who's bringing us real cases. So talking about how to approach the clients and partners' needs, and really showing us what a Vectorform did and what opportunities and challenges are laying into this new world of augmented and virtual reality. So,
thank you so
please
much.
enjoy. The stage is yours, Clemens.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And after that, I have a panel on the other side.
All right.
I'm presenting afterwards. Yeah, in the other room.
Then good luck to you.
Thank you.
I'll come join you. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for coming here today and be here with me today. Very exciting times. So AR, VR is a really trending topic, not just in Germany, not just in Europe. It's a global phenomenon. So it's really a pleasure and an honor to be here today, to be on stage with you and present the latest and greatest case study. I'm bringing that out of Detroit with me today, so I got the sign-off from the client last week, Thursday. So all the slides have been created within a week. And I show you like the behind the scenes. Usually at Vectorform, we don't show how we work and how we collaborate with the client, but for the first time in our 17-year history, we open the curtain and let you know how we do our day-to-day job. So, as Kathleen already introduced me, Clemens Conrad, the experience director at Vectorform, and I'm in the industry for a couple months, years, and was fortunate enough to touch a lot of emerging tech. So beginning 20 years ago with the mobile, with the internet, all the way through a couple very exciting platforms like Microsoft Surface, Kinect, etc. And since I work and play in Detroit, very fortunate to also work in the autonomous vehicle space. So it's really great to be in or to live in those days today. And since everything today is about AR and VR, very happy to show you that very brand new case that we have. And it's a platform. It's not just a POC, like a proof of concept. It's an actual working platform and a program and a framework. And I'm really excited to share that with you today. So, but as usual, it's not about technology. It's really about how the human being is interacting and leveraging technology to express themselves. So that's what we do at Vectorform. We invent digital products and experiences to humanize technology and really work with our clients, help our clients, partners to define the future and solve complex problems. We have 5 offices in the world, Seattle, Detroit, New York, Munich, and Hyderabad. 140 people, established in 1999, having a lot of fun ever since. So, but before I go into the showcase that I'm bringing with me today, one sentence that is really key to that experience. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn. So what is more user-centered than AR and VR? It's user-centered by design. So that's why AR and VR is the perfect platform for education, for learning, and that's what we did with Detroit Energy. So Detroit Energy is the utility company in Michigan, and they not just produce energy, they not just deliver energy, it's everything in between. So they serve millions and millions of households, commercial, residential, clients and customers, and with every big organization, you have a lot of staff, a lot of different people working in so many different fields, and there is a lot of need for training. And why it's so important in that case is also it involves death. So that's why we thought, okay, DTE, let's team up again. Let's see how we can revolutionize or how can we help you to really establish a new framework to do better training. So that's why we call it the VR High Consequence Training Platform. So as I mentioned preview today already, we opened the curtain and I'll walk you through the entire process. So what was the mission objective? What was the challenge? The entire solution process, the lesson learned, and the results. So DTE, as mentioned, 3 main objectives. How do we raise awareness of our, how do we raise awareness for the risk at the job? A lot of people find out at the job that they're afraid of heights. You should not figure that out when you're up in the skyscraper, up on a windmill, or whatever you do in heights to figure out, oh my God, I'm freezing, I can't do my job. And then you lose track, you fall, you hurt yourself, or you die. Increase also training efficiency, retention, and satisfaction. With so many aging field workers, DTE has a problem to transfer their knowledge into the new generation. So how do we capture that knowledge and transfer that back to the young generation? How can we provide young potential, high potentials to bring them together at DTE and position themselves as an innovator in the field of training and educating? And the most important fact is also decrease damages, accidents, and casualties. I mean, if our platform can help to save one life, it's worth spending hours, nights, weeks, and months, and years to perfect that platform. So that's a big challenge. I mean, when you try to save lives, etc., you need to really think about the process and what are the big challenges. So in reality, they train the way that you have to schedule a training on site. It's a big facility. It needs to be scheduled up front. You need to go there. Everything is staged, everything is there, but it doesn't feel real. So it is a training facility, but it's very cost intense, and it's clean, so you don't simulate reality. And even if in those staged environments, there can be still accidents, because if a ladder falls, if a rope breaks, then you still hurt yourself or you can die. But how do we transport those feelings into VR? How do we simulate vertigo? And how do we find the balance between training and testing? So, as an experience director, I am always in charge to inspire the client, inspire the team, and inspire the entire project, everybody who's involved in there. So I'm not just looking into, okay, the design aspect of things. I need to see what do we touch through the entire process. So from a user experience perspective, we leverage the Google design sprints to really understand where is the problem at the client side. So we do a lot of hands-on work with the client for 2 or 3 days minimum. Then we define MVPs and also show the client how that entire roadmap could look like. Same for universal design. Universal design is the language for architects. Since we are in VR and AR, we need to understand what tools do they use to build interior, exterior rooms, buildings, districts, cities. So there's natural wayfinding and natural ways to make people feel comfortable in an environment. And once you understand the mechanics of it, you can build those environments organically or dynamically. So that's the physical design language. We have also a digital design language. There's atomic design. We just launched a website, a couple hundred pages deep, connecting to 12 different external systems. And imagine it like a Lego, like a case of Legos. You have a lot of individual tools, and the way you combine those gives you all the flexibility to look great and serve your purpose. So in the web area, you can have then a perfect result on a tablet, perfect result on a phone and on a desktop. So great digital design approach. So when we combine all those things together, we define it at Vectorform as NUI, Natural User Environment. So that's the full definition of it. Natural user environment is a human-centered, artificially responsive environment that dynamically calibrates its own features based on users' auditory, visual, and tactile sensory abilities and preferences and progression. So I let that sit there for like a hot second. So when I pitched that as a concept to one of the co-founders, they were like, oh my God, that sounds fancy, but what does it actually mean? So how can you break it down for me? So what it means is, once we understand the user, once we understand how the user is behaving, then we can generate the environment for them. So everything happens in real time with us. Everything happens according how the user is walking through AR and VR. So let's think of a person. We have one example where we defined a chainsaw module. It was developed by our engineers. They are all right-hand sided. So when they tested, everything worked out perfectly. In our QA session, that person was left-handed. And when he used the chainsaw, he cut his arm off. In the digital world, not in the real world, so thank God. So it shows you need to do a lot of testing, and you need to really understand the user, how the user walks through the space, and how capable they are. If they're colorblind or have some audio incapabilities. So then we can define how much sound does the user need in that new environment, how much UI, like a user interface, graphical user interface. How much does that person need to walk through that environment? Same for the actual environment. So DTE works in the residential area, a commercial area, and once we understand how the user is going to do his task, we can automatically generate, as a residential area, we generate mixed residential commercial area or just a commercial area. So it's all in the hand of the client. We just developed the framework. It's all now up to them to define the use case and hit generate, and it's right there. So in order to build that platform, that framework, we have a 9-step process. I go through that in detail. So let's start with the first one. Define. It's crucial that you have a sign-off with the client for the design brief. In the design brief, you define everything from the challenges, the goals, the mood, the business goals, the training goals, everything high level, and you get the sign-off from the client. Once that's in place, we are ready for kickoff. And the first thing that we do is the experience script. So we have usually a core team of 5 to 6 people. Always the lead folks that are representing engineering, design, 3D design, back-end developers, and real-time engineers. So they all come together, they analyze what's been defined in the design brief, and they script the entire experience. Think of it like a movie script, so everybody knows how linear a movie script is, and we define those things in 3D, or with many paths through that space. So it becomes a long document, but a very condensed one as well. So you'll see that in a bit on the screen. So, but it gives everybody a really good understanding where the end goal is. So we are leveraging also extreme programming at Vectorform. So we are making decisions on a minute, hour, and daily basis. Core mechanics. So once we understand the complexity of the world, then we draft the user flow. And you see right here, just a simple, small fraction of it, where the user has primary goals and secondary goals. So we define, based on the insights from the client, what needs to be done in their training, what is crucial and what's nice to have. Then we also define the interaction scheme. So this experience is based on HTC Vive, has a lot of buttons, has a lot of possibilities. We reduced everything to 2 buttons. Come to that also in a bit. And then it's crucial also to do the task yourself. So, but before we do so, we interview a lot of stakeholders. So everybody from a IT department, understanding their IT infrastructure. We talk to HR, what happened in the past, where are people concerned, where are they happy. We then I'm not that heavy, Jesus. Then we also, based on the feedback, we recruit actual people that do the job on the field. We interview them for an hour, take all the feedback, and condense that to a really good guideline. And then I force my team, not force, they want to do it. They always go out there and do the actual job with the client too, so they really understand where are all the complexities and where can we hurt ourselves and where can we support with solutions. Mood boards. We know that from advertising agencies or in other areas, but we're using that not just for the visual aspect, but we're using that for the UI in general. How flexible, how big does our UI need to be? Same for tone and copy. Since we generate everything on the fly, in real time, we also need to understand, again, the user. When the user is afraid, if the user is scared, if the user is cocky, if the user is aggressive, we need to address that in our tone, how we talk to them, how we generate the copy for that. So that's where our mood boards also come in handy for tone, and same for audio. So we record a lot of audio samples to have a lot of variety and have then, according to the mood of the user, the right audio representation. Once that's like all good, we also have the scenarios. As I mentioned, we can generate residential areas, city areas, and we pick then, in this case, like a mixed commercial area. And you see here on the bottom like a 3-column area where we say, okay, that's the scenario, that's what should happen here, all the use cases. And then we have input from the design department. What do they need to make that scenario happen? We have the technical aspect, what they need to do to make those functionalities, those modules happen. And same from an analytics side, so that we capture how the user is doing specific things to then generate the next iteration. Once we know what's needed, we also go into the inventory check. So we ask the client, do you have a 3D library? Or do you have a library for 3D models? Nowadays, it's getting better, but it's not really there. So that's where we either purchase items, or we build core mechanics and core modules that then form a bigger scene. Tutorials. We tried so many different things, and we ended up always having a physical representation of what's going to happen in the digital area. So people, when they come to a training session, they're always like afraid. Oh my God, what should I do today, or what's on my agenda? But when they come into the room for VR, they see few boards, like with the main objectives. That's how you walk through space, that's how you interact with the space. And don't worry about it, you'll get to know everything. You can take your time, you can experiment with everything, and you'll get feedback. Everything will be guided for you. So we decrease the anxiety level from the user so that they can really focus on the task. They can really focus on the task to be completed. But the one important thing that we need to consider with training is not doing the same thing again and again, because then it becomes a routine, then you overlook things, and then you hurt yourself. So that's why the real-time generation of tasks, environments, and UI is crucial. So we train behavior. We train behavior and not the task. So that's where the tracking comes in place. So all of our modules, all of our areas are stacked with analytics. So for example, in the case down here, the user is really aware of what the situation is, what the task is, and what to do next. So he's very confident. We realize it's a confident person walking through space, no UI at all. 5 minutes, Jesus. Okay, I'll hurry. Top left is a scenario where the user was stopping, and we identified the user has some issues. So we bring in the first elements like audio or UI. And when the user is really lost, we bring in more elements like full, complete audio feedback, what to do next. We walk them through the scenario step by step. And here you see basically one of our rule engine, that's for the environment. So we write the rule engine. How should things work? How should things be generated? And then it happens in the back end. So that's again for the environment. So we can generate cities that are Midwestern based. If a client wants to do that in Asia, we define that texture, material, the house types here, and then they have a full, complete Asian environment. So super quick onboarding for the user, for the actual environment. So we have live traffic here, cars going down the street, so you can get hit by a car if you don't watch your steps. You have to inspect your environment, you have to inspect your equipment, make the right choices, otherwise you get the first hints, maybe you should try something else. We don't have fat lava here, but so that's also a user that was like a little afraid, so we pimp it up a little bit with some humor. In this scene, you see one safety hazard on the left-hand side with a beehive. We have squirrels, we have dogs, we have spiders, everything in there. We have gravel, so you should not put your ladder on a gravel ground. You can walk up, maybe nothing happens, but they are also here, the ladder can slip You can fall, you can either way break a leg or you die. So all those environments are generated dynamically. So we can shuffle around all those items. So it's always a new experience. So again, sorry, that's all just screenshots. Just got approval last week, so it's all real time. So the trees are moving, shadows moving, cars are coming by. It's a very living environment. In this case, you see here the same thing. On the rooftop, you can fall through the skylight. Again, dynamically generated. So in the next scene, we don't have skylights, or we may have just one. Or the task is a complete different one. So we want to, again, train behavior and how people walk through a VR space based on best practices in their training and make them aware what happens next, what could happen next, so it doesn't become a routine. So the lesson learned, design and engineering needs to work together all the time. In other platforms, I'm okay with my designers just being front-loaded and then handing it off to engineering and just provide like 50-50 support, but in VR, you have to work together all the time. Same thing for testing. You have to test the scene again and again. That's why extreme programming allows you to do that. And be sure things will break, stay calm, and keep VRing. Push test limits early. Have 5-6 people coming into the office every single week. Make sure you get the feedback and you reincorporate that right away. Have also a weekly external meeting, so you go on site, you test all those things that you dream up in the virtual world and test it in the real world. And then celebrate collaboration. So that's why we had so many parties coming in from our client side, HR, IT, leadership, and the actual trainers, the actual people that conducted or that participate on those trainings to get the feedback. And we pushed everybody to collaborate, express their fears, express their hopes, and then creating a great platform. So yeah, a couple months, year later, we have VR high consequence training that provides DTE Energy a new, flexible platform for improved training of their aging field workers that allows them to build an image of innovator in the field of training in the utility sector overall. So we're testing the scene now also for medical and automotive, so that an automotive, for example, can say, I have this feature of a car, and the experience should last 3 minutes instead of 1 minute. So they define those rules themselves. They hit generate, and they have a new track generated on the fly. They can say how many features should be communicated in that scene, so that will happen. Or when we realize the user is afraid of those things, we should bubble up the actual safety features of the car and show that in a natural user environment style. So, thank you.